5 years ago, I didn't have direction. I didn't have peace, and I definitely didn't have control. I was stuck in a cycle I didn't know how to break, burning bridges, pushing people away, losing myself. But today, I am 5 years clean, and I wanted to come back to the place where everything changed. Not to relive it, but to remind myself just how far I've come. Yes, I still remember being driven here exactly where we are now. We're about to drive past it. Right here.
The pool house.
Inconspicuous doors. And here we are exactly to the day. It is 5 years. Today is my milestone of being 5 years clean of drugs. And my journey started here at Detox House. So this place is a public facility detox where you come in for 7 days and you detox off of whatever substances it is, alcohol or drugs or whatnot. You stay in here basically for 7 days and get yourself clean before they ship you off on to rehab usually. So this is exactly today, 5 years ago, where my recovery journey started. And I still remember walking into this place. I still remember walking through this very door and being pulled up right out the front. So I had no idea what was in store for me in my journey when I reached here in 2021. I honestly didn't think I was going to be able to make it. I knew I'd be able to get some time off, maybe clear my head and whatnot. But I thought I was just going to go straight back to the situation I was. And it was just interesting coming here. I was broken, an absolute broken man. I'm happy to share a photo of me at one of my worst points. Really strange to be back here again, exactly 5 years later down the track of where I walked through those doors to where my life is today is absolutely incredible.
What was your first few hours like? Yeah,
so when I showed up here, I was basically, they did some ops on me, checked my blood pressure, all that kind of stuff, and then went to sleep basically and slept almost for the whole 7 days that I was here.
You slept 7 days?
I slept for about 2 or 3 days non-stop essentially, and then the last few were a bit rough before I went off to my first rehab, which was Westside Lodge in Sunshine, or St. Albans I think it is. So yeah, it was a big journey.
After the 7 days, did you feel
better?
Better, yeah.
No, 7 days is not long enough. It takes a long time. You know, honestly, for me in my journey, it's probably taken, I didn't really feel good, like 100% back to normal and clear-headed until it was around about the 9-month mark, I think. Took 9 to 12 months before my brain chemistry kind of returned back to normal to the way that it is today, basically. So it's definitely a long journey.
So this is a government-funded
facility? So the thing is, I wasn't in a position, I had no money, I was broke, I was bankrupt, I had no money, I had absolutely nothing to my name, I had nowhere to go. A lot of rehabs out there, I'm not dissing private rehabs. If private rehab's for you, go for private rehab. I couldn't afford to go to a private rehab. So this place here is only a detox, not a rehab obviously, but is publicly funded. There's a wait list, but I managed to get in pretty good time. And then further on from that to the 2 rehabs that I did back to back, which were both also publicly funded.
What was your most significant memory here?
You know what, to be honest, I don't really actually have a lot of memories. I remember it was bloody hot. I remember I came here, it's in February obviously. I remember it was like 40 degrees or something and they had me upstairs and the air conditioning wasn't as great up there. So, yeah.
Did you meet anyone of significance here?
I remember hearing some stories from people. Some guy was telling me about being a train driver or something, but honestly, I was very early recovery. For me, I was scattered. My brain was just absolutely a mess. I remember being here, but I don't remember who I spoke to. I don't remember any of those details or anybody's names because it was just too long ago. And I was just really not well at the time. I think those sirens are coming to get me again. I remember sitting in that park many times, actually.
What is a day like of someone who's addicted?
A day of somebody being addicted is very erratic. I must admit, for me, at the very start of my addiction, do you want to walk through the park?
Yeah.
At the very start of my addiction, I did find it exciting. I found actually, when I very first started using, it was exciting. It was busy, it was exciting. For me, it was like, I had no plans. Anything could happen at any moment. I really loved the spontaneity and the excitement, and you never know who you were going to meet or what you were going to do or where you were going to go or where you're going to end up. But yeah, that's not how it ended. So for me, I found the start of my addiction was exciting, and you're always out and about and doing stuff. But by the end of your addiction, it's the complete opposite. You hide away. You shut the curtains, you turn the lights off, you just avoid all contact with all people at all costs. You're just an absolute shell and a husk of a person. And yeah, a day in the life of somebody at that point of using is just disgusting, right? You can wake up at any time. You wake up at 3 in the afternoon and, just...
Where do you wake up? In your rehab or... No, not your rehab. Where do you wake up, like on a bench?
No, I never slept in public. I was homeless. But I had a place to stay, but it wasn't my place. I'd lost my place. I'd lost all my possessions, anything that I felt was important. I sold my car. I had nothing of value. So where I was staying was couch surfing, essentially. A day in a life for me in the early days was I would use, for example, and then I'd leave the house when I was, living in Brunswick or living in Hawthorne or here in Carlton. I would just leave the house. And I don't know when I'd come back or where I go. I go into the city, and sometimes I'd be in the city literally 24 hours and I wouldn't actually go anywhere. I wouldn't go into any place, or I don't know what I was doing. I was just always looking for a power plug to plug my phone in to charge. But other than that, I was just always managed to find an adventure or do something. To me, that was exciting at the time. Now I don't see it that way. Now I see it as being lost, having no direction. Yeah, it's interesting walking around here now. I found in my recovery, coming back to these areas, maybe not early on, might not have been a great idea for some people, but for me, coming back here when I was ready to come back here and making new associations, new memories with the area. So I would come back here when I was 2 years clean or 1 year clean or, somewhere in that area. And I felt, for me, I wouldn't recommend this for everybody, but for me personally, I found that as being like an exposure therapy kind of thing. And I found, for me, I started creating new memories in these areas. So being here today, I obviously have memories that I'll never forget of my using time in this area, but I've also got positive memories now as well, which overtake the old memories. So walking around here, I'm not triggered to want to use, or I don't think about what's it like, what would it be like, should I do it again? It doesn't cross my mind as an option anymore because I've got all these new memories and life's too good. Life is awesome. There's no way I would jeopardize what I have today. This brings back some memories, not necessarily bad ones or good ones. One of the main reasons I wanted to show this area was because this is where my real addiction took hold. Up until this point, I was playing around with drugs quite heavily, but I wouldn't say by this stage I was addicted to them. I was just playing with them. But when I came to this alleyway on a night time, I forget what time it was, maybe like 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night or something, I came here. And my now ex, I still remember coming down the stairwell. And the reason why I bring this up is because I remember when this person came out of the door and stood onto this very street, and I was also standing on this street waiting for them to come down. It was like a split second. As this person walked from the door towards me, no words were spoken between the two of us. We just locked eyes on each other as they were walking towards me. Now, in that split second, for me, I felt time stopped. Because all this stuff was going on in my brain, and I had this intuition, this gut instinct inside me that said, and I didn't know this person. I'd only spoken to this person a few times online. There's no way for me to know any information about this person, but my gut instinct instantly told me something's wrong. This person's not normal, or this person's not a good person. You need to get the hell out of here. I remember thinking that. It was a really overwhelming feeling in my stomach that just said, get out of here, this person's not good. But me in my head I thought to myself, well, who the hell are you? What's so special about you? You don't know this person. Why don't you get to know them before you judge them? That was my mistake. So that's why I thought I'd come back here, because it is the journey of where I started my addiction, where everything really took hold, but also to kind of, hopefully help other people in the sense that to learn to trust your gut instinct. When your gut instinct tells you something, I learnt everything I live by today, every single decision I make today on my journey, all started because this is where I learnt to trust my intuition. And ever since I've learnt that, my intuition's never been wrong. Unfortunately, that time I ignored my intuition, and that took me down 2.5 years of absolute hell and absolute hell and addiction. And I destroyed my life, everything. I sold my car because I needed money for drugs. I lost my house that I was living in. I lost my job. I lost anything that I found valuable. I sold everything that I could that was worth of any value to me to support my addiction. And it was all because of a journey that I took here and didn't listen to my intuition that told me, get the hell out of here. Something's wrong with this picture.
Yeah, how do you explain a gut instinct?
I don't know how to explain a gut instinct. It's just like this inner voice that just knows, if you're about to do something stupid, or if you're about to say something stupid, or if something's going on, you just get this voice in your stomach or in your gut. It just tells you, don't do this, or don't listen to this, or don't trust that person, or if your gut instinct's telling you not to trust somebody, 100% I stand by that. Do not listen to your gut instinct, because I've ignored my gut instinct my whole life until this very moment here, where I did ignore it. And ever since then, I started listening to it, and it's never once steered me wrong. And I'm standing here today in the exact same alleyway that it started, and I'm standing here now 5 years clean, because my gut instinct has led me here to this very moment today. So the way I feel about things today is completely different. I have no animosity towards my ex-partner, and I have no animosity or ill will towards anybody from those days. For any of the friends or people that I associated with, for my ex-partner, for any of them, I've got no problems at all. I wish them well, and I hope that they have managed to find their own recovery journey themselves. Life's too short for hate. For me, I've been through a lot, and it's taken me a long point to get to where I am today. But today, I now see it differently. I have to thank all of them for waking me up. I just wished that I wasn't silly enough to have to go through what I went through, essentially, losing everything and losing my mind and, hitting the bottom of the barrel and just being an absolute loser. I truly wish I didn't have to go through that, but I am actually forever grateful for my ex and for the friends that I had. I actually have to thank them, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here where I am today and living an amazing life that I live today. Recovery is possible. I do actually miss walking these streets, especially when it's beautiful like this. All these nice houses. I always remember you asking me a question years ago. You used to say to me, what was it you said? If you could use one day, as much or as little as you wanted, just for one time, one day only, and then the next day, no repercussions, back to normal, and everything's all good, would you do it? What was my answer? What did it used to be?
You'd say yeah.
I always said yes, didn't I?
Why wouldn't you do it?
And then it dawned on me last year in 2025, I finally realised, now when I ask myself that same question, one time only, use as much or as little as I want, would I do it? Absolutely not.
Why is that?
Don't want to. It just gets in the way of my life. I've done it before.
But there's no consequences.
No consequence, doesn't matter. I just don't want to do it anymore. It's not a part of who I am. It's not a part of my life. I guess now I don't feel the need to escape anymore. Maybe that's what's changed. Maybe I don't feel the need to run and hide the way that I used to. And this is the last stop. This is Hawthorne, where my journey of addiction ended. For the very last time in that house behind me, I left and went to DePaul House. And that's where my journey started 5 years ago today. And I was certainly not in a good place when I was living here. I was homeless. I was living on a mattress on a dining room floor, and my life was just in absolute shambles. And I tell you one thing, the one thing that really stood out to me during my addiction was, and I've got so many memories of being around this area, sitting over here and, you know, being out in the streets and everything, and doing the one thing that really brought me a lot of shame in my addiction was doing all of these things that were against my morals or against, you know, what I believe in or what my, you know, what I stand for. And it really brought me a lot of disappointment that during my addiction, I was doing all these crazy things and I was around all these terrible people and dangerous people and getting myself involved in stupid situations that could have turned pear-shaped, that could have turned very volatile. And, you know, getting myself into these positions and knowing the whole time, this isn't really who I am, yet I still allowed myself to do it because I couldn't control my addiction. I was lost, I was trapped, and I couldn't find a way out. But you know, I couldn't do it anymore. And I hit so many rock bottoms before I checked myself into recovery. And I tried rehab so many times before. I've done 4 or 5 different rehabs and failed until the last 2. So, you know, it's amazing to come back here and to see how the place has changed and, you know, the area. And it doesn't really bring back any memories for me anymore. I don't really think anything positive of this place. I don't think anything negative of this place. You know, it's 5 years, so much has changed. My life is beyond what I ever dreamed possible.
6 years or 5 years?
It's been 5 years, 5 years today. So yeah, my life is just beyond words that I never expected it could be this good. So being around here isn't bringing up any bad memories for me or anything like that. It's just, you know, it's just a part of my history, and I'm glad that I went through what I went through. To be honest, I wish I didn't have to go through what I went through, but it certainly woke me up. And I'm grateful for the experiences I've had now because it's made me who I am today, a much stronger, better, more resilient person. And I have a lot of great people in my life. I've got a lot of family, friends, and I've had a lot of support that's helped me to get to where I am today. So yeah, it can be done.
Who was around your circle at this point in time?
At this point in time, I didn't really have anybody in my circle. I had people that at the time I felt might have actually been friends, but they weren't friends. They were not people in my circle. Or there weren't people that genuinely cared about me or wanted me to get better or, you know, cared about me wanting to do better or, you know, to get out of that world. You find when you live in a world of addiction, it's just surrounded by people who are just very selfish and only want to get their own needs met above yours, and maybe you come second to that.
Do you keep in contact with any of those people in your past?
No one. I don't keep in contact with anyone from my past anymore. It just doesn't serve a purpose to me in my recovery journey moving forward, and I highly advise to anybody who's trying to get into recovery is to, you know, cut contacts with all those kind of people from your past because it can't do you any good. There's no positive there. You can't gain anything from that.
How do you think they're doing in this very point in time?
I have absolutely no idea.
Do people usually recover?
People can recover. Not everybody recovers, but you can recover. You have to want it. You have to really want recovery and know who you are to want to get out of it and want to get yourself better.
How much did you want recovery?
I wanted recovery because there was no other option for me. For me, the only option was death or recovery. There was no way out of this. At some point, I would have been homeless on the street, and I had no money by that stage. I was living week to week on a Centrelink check and not doing anything with my life and not giving back any substance or any value to the community. All I did was a leech. I just took and took and took. I never gave back to, you know, the community the way that I'm able to do today.
What was your thought process on the day that you left this place for the last time?
Okay, so my thought process when I left this day, I vividly remember being in this house behind me on February 15th, 2021. It was absolutely miserable. I ate for the first time because I used to stay awake for days on end, and I ate for the first time in like 4 days, I think it was. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning, I think, and I had no money, so I ate 5 packets at the same time of like instant 2-minute noodles. They gave me the worst heartburn and indigestion that I just could not get rid of all night. I remember I hadn't slept So I think I'd been awake for 4 or 5 days by that stage. My mind was just absolutely mushy. I was a mess. Everything was just, it was rock bottom, beyond rock bottom. And looking around and realizing where I was and who I allowed myself to be around, and, you know, the life that I was living, it was just absolutely horrible. I had to get out, and, you know, I didn't have high hopes that I would be able to do it, to be honest. I just thought, get into detox, get into rehab, get clean for a little while and figure it out from there. But here I am now, 5 years to the day later, and I've managed to do it. And hopefully through my story, can share to other people that recovery is absolutely 100% possible, and you can do it. It just takes a strong mindset. You got to really, you know, you got to really want it.
And how many times did you fail during the recovery phase?
So I believe I did rehab 5 times in total, and I did detox 7 times. I failed 3 rehabs, I think it was. 2 or 3 rehabs I failed, and the last 2 won for me. So straight after I went to DePaul House, I went to a place called Westside Lodge, which does dual diagnosis rehab. So for both mental health and for addictive issues, whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatever. So I went to DePaul House, then I went to Westside Lodge, where they do dual diagnosis rehab for mental health and for addiction. From there, I would have been there for 3 months. Now, there was no plan after there. So when I was getting closer to my 3 months, my only option was to come straight back here. And I knew that if I came straight back here, I wouldn't be here talking today. So I ended up getting myself into another rehab. I did 2 rehabs back to back, both 3 months, so 6 months in total. That rehab was Quinn House in Fitzroy. I credit that rehab as the one that saved me. That extra time I needed to get clean, to get my life together, because I don't think 3 months would have been enough for me. And doing the 3 months at Quinn House in Fitzroy, that's what got me onto the path where I am today. I used to come here a lot before my addiction. This place does the best ice cream in Melbourne. Kalina, I ended up getting honeycomb. What did you get?
4 de latte.
4 de latte.
Oh yeah.
How is it?
Very smooth.
Pretty good way to end the video, I suppose. Celebrating 5 years clean today with a scoop of ice cream.
Yep.
Back in Hawthorne, where my recovery journey started 5 years ago today, walking into DePaul House, going through 6 months of rehab, living in a homeless shelter for a month and a half, I think it was, almost 2 months, before getting into Oxford housing. And here I am today, 5 years on.
Eating ice cream with your PT.
Eating ice cream with my PT. Being on a popular Melbourne food channel on YouTube.
You owe me 10 burpees.
Is that what I owe you for the ice cream? There's been times when you and I have been filming for Local Eats, and we've been driving around certain areas where I've used in the city, or used somewhere, you know, or got all these memories. And now here I am in my own car with friends, with a film crew essentially, with cameras and microphones and lights and all this setup. And I'm driving through 5 years later, 4 years later, in my own car thinking, how did I get here? So, if you've made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. Thanks to my mate Lane for helping me out, or coming with me on this one. If you can, it would be awesome if you give us a like and a subscribe, and yeah, stay tuned for more content in the future.
See you then.
Bang.